The population of Quizel, fake name, Kansas, is 998. I found that number on a screen before I left. A trivial statistic I shared with my coworker as we pulled into town to reopen a hotel. It was meant to be a joke. We were the 999th and 1000th residents. We didn't realize then that in a place that's small, you don't just move into a town, you become an infestation. The hotel was a hollow shell, a massive, echoing carcass of a building waiting to be brought back to life, heavily graffited and falling apart. We were the only two people for miles, locked behind a wood door and glass windows that looked out onto an endless, suffocating darkness. For the first few nights, the silence was absolute. Then, the headlights started. It wasn't a casual pass-through. At 1 or 2 in the morning, a solitary vehicle would pull into our empty lot, cutting its engine. It would sit there, idling, pointing its high beams directly into our room's windows. For an hour, we'd sit in the dark, bathed in that artificial, invasive glare, unable to see who was behind the glass, wondering if they were watching us watch them. Then, as silently as they arrived, they would leave. This would go on each and every night like clockwork. We'd be half asleep, woken up by the sound of a big pickup truck's engine cutting off, then a blinding light piercing through our window. By the fourth day, the dynamic of the town shifted. The street outside, which had been a dead vein when we arrived, started to pulse. Later at night, cars began to crawl past the property at a walking pace, not driving, but patrolling. They moved with a deliberate frequency, and every time we stepped outside for supplies, the town went quiet. It wasn't just the stairs. It was the way the conversation in the local gas station. The only real sign of life would instantly evaporate the moment we opened the door. It was the feeling that every window in the neighborhood was an unblinking eye tracking our every movement. I could feel eyes watching me from the windows of homes as I drove by. But oddly enough, besides the cars driving past the property at night, and the few locals at the gas station, there was zero sign of life anywhere. No kids, no one jogging in the morning, no one. We weren't visitors to them. We were an infestation from the big city. The locals didn't need to speak to us to make their point. Their presence, their slow, circling vigilance, made it loud and clear. We don't belong here. I hired staff to run the hotel and eventually asked them about the town folks. They made it chillingly clear. The people here don't like change, and they don't like city people. We weren't bringing business or growth to their eyes. We were an alien presence festering in their stagnant, tightly wound world. When I finally finished the job, I didn't celebrate. I didn't look back. I drove out of town, and I made a promise to myself I would never, ever go back.